Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. Yes, we are talking V for Vendetta today on the channel. Recording this on Election Day, November 4th, but there is no better time to release this review than November 5th. And I've been wanting to talk about V for Vendetta for quite some time now. I got this on 4K about a few years ago, and I have yet to watch it on 4K until today. And it's a movie that, as I said, over the last few years, I've been meaning to talk about and put out on November 5th, since I knew that this movie involved November 5th. And I just haven't gotten around to it until now, but there's also no better time to do it because it is the 20th anniversary of V for Vendetta. This came out in 2005 and stars Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving. And Hugo Weaving plays V, a freedom fighter, anarchist, who is trying to take down his totalitarian regime. And V for Vendetta is a fantastic movie. And I'm not going to try and get like all political on here because I don't really do that. But this is a movie in today's day and age with everything that is going on both sides of the political spectrum. One side, possibly more in particular, that I'm actually surprised that those in power right now, not to name any names because I'm not going to do it, I'm surprised that this movie hasn't been banned. In an era of oppression and censorship, amongst other things, you would think something like this would get banned today with how things are going. And surprisingly, it hasn't. And I don't even know if people even really know that this movie exists now because everybody lives on TikTok and the internet, and people have had to have seen V for Vendetta, right? It's an absolute classic that touches on themes like totalitarianism, oppression, authoritarianism, taking down these corrupt regimes, corruption within governments. It makes V for Vendetta feel like a timeless movie. It was timeless back in 2005. It's even more relevant today. It's like Tomorrow Never Dies. Not my favorite James Bond movie, but with the whole fake news and media circus type of thing, Tomorrow Never Dies has remained relevant since it came out in 1997. V for Vendetta has remained relevant since it came out in 2005. And what I love so much about V for Vendetta is just how engrossing and rip-roaring and enthralling this entire movie is. For its entire 2-hour plus runtime, there's constantly something happening, not a single break in pace, even when it takes its time to let things sink in and let the movie breathe for a minute. You are actually learning about specific things in history, specific things that V is going to be doing in the future, specific things that relate to his plot afoot, amidst all the action sequences where this movie doesn't have much action in it, but when it does, it is hard-hitting, it is brutal, it is mean, it is there to make a statement. The idea that you don't see V's face, that's been kind of a point of contention with V for Vendetta, whether or not his face should have been shown in the movie. I can understand in making the argument as to why it should have been, and there are a couple of times where it comes close. Like, for instance, he takes off the Guy Fawkes mask, and you see his hair covering his face, or his face is in a silhouette. I get that, but then there's also another point in the movie where V is disguised as a man named William Rookwood, trying to give information to the police and the inspector as to what actually happened at some point in the past. You can see part of his face blocked by a shadow, and you can see the other part of his face that you know is burned, but there's makeup on there because he's wearing a disguise. It's clever things like that that make V for Vendetta such an enthralling and engrossing and interesting movie that you just can't take your eyes off it for the entire runtime. There are so many little intricacies like that. I love his speech pattern. There's a whole bunch of lines of dialogue. I don't know if you want to call it a speech, but at the very beginning of the movie, when Evie, played by Natalie Portman, is attacked by the three men that are part of this totalitarian regime that are going to, not the R word, but, do things to her, and V comes to her rescue. The amount of words he says that begin with V just had me cracking up. I'm like, this man loves the letter V, huh?
Voila! In view, a humble vaudevillian veteran, cast vicariously as both victim and villain by the vicissitudes of fate. This visage, no mere veneer of vanity, is a vestige of the vox populi, now vacant, vanished. However, this valorous visitation of a bygone vexation stands vivified, and has vowed to vanquish these venal and virulent vermin, vanguarding vice and vouchsafing the violently vicious and voracious violation of volition. The only verdict is vengeance, a vendetta, held as a votive not in vain, for the value and veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous. Verily, this vichyssoise of verbiage veers most verbose, so let me simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V.
It's really something. I don't know how Hugo Weaving pulled that off. Was Hugo Weaving even present? Is that even him? It's the voice for sure, and it's a fantastic voice performance. You can just imagine the pain and torture and the suffering that this man has suffered through that creepy Guy Fawkes mask. And you get the background of Evie as a character. You have a lot of sympathy for her. You understand her innocence, but also how she would become V's protege and overcome her fear. And that is a big part of the plot of this movie, is that V essentially subjugates her to overcome her fear. He falsely imprisons her. It's almost like he's an asshole, but he's trying to teach her a lesson. And in the end, she's very inspired by V. A lot of the character work in this movie goes completely unnoticed, I think. This isn't directed by the Wachowskis, but it is written by the Wachowskis. And outside of the first Matrix movie, this is easily their best work that they've been involved in. This is easily their best script since. It's just so engaging. It takes so many great characters and completely, every second it gets, expands on their backstory, expands on the lore, expands on this dystopian world that feels like it is something out of 1984 or something out of the present day, and makes you actually believe that, yeah, what V is fighting for is actually right. You might not believe in the anarchist side. You might not believe in the whole violent rhetoric that V abides by, but you agree with his views. And that's what makes V for Vendetta such a great movie, when you have characters that you could just sympathize with and agree with every decision that they make. That's great. I even love John Hurt in this movie. He's such an evil little bastard. You wanted him to get what's coming to him. He's so good in this movie, and I can't believe John Hurt or Natalie Portman and even Hugo Weaving never got an Oscar nomination for this movie. Did this get nominated for an Oscar? I would have to look that up. And going back to the whole thing where you don't see V's face, I like that the movie represents V as an idea. It's not necessarily just one person. It's an entire movement. This is a thoroughly politically charged movie, and it could not be more timely. There is one problem I have with V for Vendetta, and that is the final confrontation between V, Creedy, and Sutler. I like what happens. I love the action in it. I think it's very well helmed, but there's just one part that has always bothered me about it, because no other action scene in the movie is filmed in slow motion. A, this ending action scene is filmed in slow motion. B, you have the motion trails of the blades that he's swinging around, and it looks really corny and stupid. I don't really like that. Why did it have to be in slow motion, and why do you have to show the trails of the motion of the blade? It looks so stupid. I don't It's one of those things where it just completely baffles me. V for Vendetta really came out at that time of like 2005 to 2010, where they were adapting a lot of graphic novels like V for Vendetta or 300, Watchmen. You could even throw Guillermo del Toro's Hellboys into there, like comics or graphic novels that weren't so well known but had a lot to say, and that's what V for Vendetta really does. It has a lot to say. This is a thoroughly engrossing script by the Wachowskis, probably their best script since The Matrix. It is very well directed by James McTeague, who I think is a protege of theirs or has worked with them throughout their entire career. I think he's worked on the Matrix films. I don't think he worked on the last Matrix, the Matrix Resurrections, which sucked anyway, but I think he was involved with that original Matrix trilogy, so he knows the style of the Wachowskis. You can look at this movie and say it's a bit of style over substance, but I totally disagree, because not one single moment goes by where there isn't something of interest happening, whether it's character work, whether it's an action that characters make or decisions that characters make. Movie completely gets it. It's so well realized and it feels so timely, and you can understand that parts of it look like a graphic novel and then other parts of it look like something that would be made today. And those parts that look like a graphic novel leap off the page so thoroughly. Outside of that one corny bits in the final confrontation, V for Vendetta is a thoroughly engrossing movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I am going to give V for Vendetta an A. This is a fantastic movie. I haven't seen it in years, and I totally forgot how engrossing and enthralling this movie was and just how involving it is, making you pay attention as to what is actually going on and past information that they're giving to you. It can be a little over expository at times, but for a movie like this, I think you need all that, especially where there's a lot of flashbacks and a lot of character work and a lot of investigations into things. It totally works for this movie. I do not have a problem with the over expository dialogue. If you have seen V for Vendetta, let me know what you think of it. It is a classic, in my opinion. I want to know in the comments below what you think. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.